Welcome to CIO Leadership Live New Zealand. I'm Kathy O'Sullivan, Editorial Director for Foundry's Enterprise and Channel brands in Australia and New Zealand. On today's episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Daya Sivakumar, who is the Chief Information Officer at LIC. Kia ora, Daya. Great to see you again.
Kia ora, Kathy. Nice to see you too.
Great stuff. And look, the last time we caught up was, of course, down at the LIC headquarters in Hamilton. Great to see you and the team and learn all about what you and the team do there. So tell us a little bit about your career to date. I guess how you got your start in IT and what have been some of your career milestones.
Yeah, sure. And it's probably the first time you've been to a CIO site. We're in Gumbridge, I'm sure. So it was great to see you down there. It wasn't the best day, though, from memory. A little bit rainy, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a very Waikato day.
Yeah. Look, I think if I'm going to talk about my career, I usually have to start about me personally and where I kind of got my my passion from. And I was always tinkering with technology since I was a very young lad, since I was a kid. And playing with tech and being lucky enough to be able to get PCs, the early PCs, and break them and put them together and all those things. So I've always had that kind of fire inside me about technology and been very passionate about it. But it wasn't really a big thing growing up. So my parents being Sri Lankan and my family being Sri Lankan, their motivation for me was always to be a doctor. So I failed miserably, unfortunately. Look, I think I did go to uni and I did do a Bachelor of Business, and my first job was in the travel industry in the late 90s. And I had a role which is a mix of IT support as well as accounts or finance. And I ended up after about 3 months doing no accounts, just doing all technology. And look, I just got my hands dirty. And look, early in my career, I do count my blessings that I was in the travel industry because that changed rapidly. I think it was probably the first industry to go through such disintermediation and challenge. And I got to be part of that. And just understanding how a business works and how technology supports that and actually getting my hands there to try and change things. That's kind of how I cut my teeth. And, I moved from the travel industry to a telco startup in 2 degrees. That was kind of a big change, and that was more all about high growth and moving fast. And, I worked my way through a number of different industries. I did make a conscious choice fairly early in my career to change industries every 3 to 4 years to try different things. And I think that served me well. I don't think I haven't been in the same industry twice. I've always moved on because you learn different things in different industries. So I always think of myself as an engineer at heart. I've always been hands-on building stuff in the early days, but as I've kind of grown and had great experiences and some great mentors and leaders, have actually managed to pick up other business traits. And now I actually did customer first with the technology background. So go to all sorts of leads, but that's probably maybe engineer at heart, but probably customer lead more is probably outside my career.
And now you're in a very different industry and you're the CIO at LIC, or the Livestock Improvement Corporation, which a lot of Kiwis may know about, but not everyone may know exactly what you do. So can you give us a bit of an overview of the organization and how you and the technology team support it?
Sure. I had someone explain this to me actually before I started, and it makes a lot of sense. We all know about Fonterra being the cooperative, but Fonterra is the output cooperative, so they have traditionally dealt with a lot of the marketing and the branding of our products and selling overseas. LIC, in simple terms, is the input cooperative. So things that happen on farm for productivity and sustainability, that's up LIC's alley. So our core purpose would be to breed better cows faster. And so basically probably 90% of the cows, or actually probably 80% of the cows in New Zealand come by LIC. We're about genetics, making sure the best genetics get into the cows. And the reason for that is we can improve milk productivity of a small animal and also reduce the output of the animal. So more milk, less environmental impact, and better cows. And that's kind of what we do. So our adoption of our technologies, so something like Winder, which is the app that our dairy farmers use, we've got 90% market share of that, or over 90%. So day in, day out, our farmers use that, and they track the animals and their behaviours and performance that way. So And, you know, a very seasonal business. So for a bulk of LIC who are not on the head office, up and down the country, we're a logistics business. Getting cows in the car is our job, and doing herd testing and diagnostics and sampling and parentage, that's what we do. So sum it up, the genetics business, that's critically important to New Zealand's dairy industry, and also critically important to reduce things like our methane reduction, because we're going to hit our climate targets by genetics and having less cows, and you do that through smart genetics and science. Up to that covers it.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating organization. And I must say, Diane, that visit to LIC and the farm tour and seeing the bulls in action, it was definitely one of the highlights of my career so far in this job. So thank you for that. It certainly gave me a fascinating insight into what the organization does.
Yeah.
So look, tell us a bit more, I guess, about your team and the key achievements of the past year. You've mentioned things like the app and the penetration of that app. How is your digitalization journey overall tracking?
I've been at LIC for close to 2 years, so I can only take credit for some work. There's been a lot of amazing work being done by lots of people before me. Look, I think it's so broad, everything we do at LIC, but at the heart of it is genetic gain. And over the last couple of years, we have spent a lot of time and invested a lot of capital into building our new platforms to make sure that genetic gain can happen, and that we've got our scientists back. But that's all going incredibly well. We're launching some new products now, which allows our farmers to look at the genetic evaluation, and that's all on the back of some amazing work done with some of our new tech. So our new digital platforms has done that, and we're really proud of where we've got to with that. Built largely on the likes of an Amazon stack, with partners such as Snowflake in the mix as well. So that's been probably key. I think the other parts have been MINDA and our data interoperability. So you may have seen, maybe it's not mainstream, but certainly in the agri-tech sector, there's been a whole lot of noise around interoperability. LIC's taken, I'd suggest, a leadership position here. We want to make sure that we have data interoperability across agriculture. And so with MINDA, our key MINDA product guys and engineers have made MINDA integrations a lead. So we actually integrate with everything, wearables providers, farm automation, you name it, we make that happen now. And so we've led the way in the last few months with launching some new products. We now have, integrations paid, whether it's Fonterra or any other dairy companies, we can integrate with them. And whether it's wearables like Holter, we can integrate. So it's pretty amazing journey. So one side is the data science side and making sure the platform's there and ready, and the other side's actually around MINDA and data interoperability. And I have to give a shout out to all of the cool guys within tech team at LIC who run the business, right? Because as much as we can focus on the shiny stuff, there's a lot of work that happens with the core products and InfoSec that actually just keeps in coming. So yeah, it's been a great journey so far. And I know we'll talk a bit about the future later, but there's lots of more exciting stuff happening.
Yeah, for sure. And look, obviously interoperability is a key part of your focus, but just overall, I guess, what's your approach when it comes to your tech strategy? I mean, it is a cooperative. How do you ensure that, those IT initiatives that you're working on, that they align with the overall strategic goals and mission of LIC?
I reckon I've always taken the same approach in the last probably 10, 15 years. Just park technology for a moment and actually get in front of a customer. So if you've got customer empathy, in our case, if you're sitting with a farmer or your farmer shareholders, in LIC's case, you know what their problems are, you know what has to be done, and then look at the macro level, what New Zealand's problems are as a agri-sector or dairy industry, then you can start working out where we play. So we really have to have that carry from a business perspective, what's important and where we play. And then we support that through technology. So, and look, this stuff that's so entwined now, like it used to be in the olden days, you have a business strategy and text on the side here. It doesn't work that way. They're very much entwined. So, to answer your question, then when I first got to LIC, I spent an immense amount of time, with the team, the tech team, but probably more time, it's not an over-index to spend time with shareholders, farmers, some of our directors and the senior lead team, just to understand what was going on. I actually then took the time with myself and actually my wider leadership team to spend time out on the site of our staff, so up and down the country, just looking at our depots and our operations and our sales team, just to see what they're doing. And once you've done that, you can kind of form a view of what's important and what you need to focus on and line up what your priorities are. So that's where we've got to. And I think of myself as the person who joins the dots. So, I've got lots of smart people across the executive table and in our board, but just joining the dots and pulling it together and say, okay, well, this is how we're going to focus technology to deliver that. That's been what I've been doing. But at our heart, we're a data science and a genetics business, and that's how technology should work.
Now, speaking of data, there's been a lot of noise around things like AI. And are there any emerging technologies, or, whether it's AI or IoT or anything else that you and the team already have in place or are looking to implement at LIC?
Yeah, it's one of these things that, look, like everybody else, we will be spending a lot of time and probably a lot of investment in AI. I think we almost overstate some of the stuff, because I think some of the automation that's happening with their software vendors and software partners, they will just be pervasive. It'll be in our tech that we use. So we don't need to necessarily overthink it. I think where we will probably use it is with our scientists in terms of genomic evaluation, how it could help them in their approach. Because I think what it will allow for them is to process much more data and get much more through the work they have with the support of their likes of AI technology. In terms of our business itself, looking ahead, we're building a strategy around our enterprise systems and our back office. And I do think there's an opportunity there for some of the tech to help us and actually make some of the systems that we run at the moment for our customer orders much, much smoother. So one part of LIC, which I think we talked about earlier, is we are pretty much a logistics business. We have trucks up and out of the country that go and process milk samples and diagnostic samples. And running all that at the moment, it can be a bit clunky. And I do think automation, with the help of AI, could make that very, very different. So I had a conversation with the CEO around one of the high tables yesterday. He was just showing me a farmer who used, it was ChatGPT, to look at their breeding traits and their evaluation, genetic evaluation. And this farmer on his own, it was a 50-year-old farmer, or an older farmer actually, he had put all this data into ChatGPT and it actually worked it. So it actually helped him with his own genomic evaluation and his own decisions on the farm. So I think the more you think about that kind of tech, the more that will be embedded in our software and it'll be in the hands of our farmers. We just need to make it easy. So at a personal level, not LIC related, I'm in love with self-driving cars. I've got to say, that's one of my deep passions. I cannot wait till I can just get in my car and tell the car to drive me somewhere. And that's just becoming very, very real. And I'm obsessed by it. I just sit there looking at YouTube and the progress of different software versions and how it's going. But I think that'll be massively different. I think if we have things like self-driving cars, then people don't need to own cars. And that has a big difference in the world and probably on our sustainability as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating seeing those Waymo cars out and about in the streets of the US. I'm sure we'll see them here at some point as well in the not too distant future. So look, Daya, obviously you've got a lot going on at LIC and you are looking at cutting edge technology there, but there's also, the everyday, that maintenance of your existing IT infrastructure and systems. How do you balance that, pushing on with innovation with just the core maintenance that's required?
Yeah, look, we've got to do both. And I'm going to be first up and say we're not perfect. And no one ever is, right? Everyone's always looking at the operations saying, oh, God, that could be better, or that could be better. I think it's like spinning plates. I think you almost have to be a little bit schizophrenic being in a CIO role or if you need leadership role. You have to continually sell to staff, board, management around the possibilities and what can happen in the future. But then you also have to look at what you're doing now and what you're managing. And you've got to keep both sets engaged. I remember there's always roles which you have, and LIC is no different. We have a core group of people running the machine who need investment, who need looking after, and they actually need some attention. And then you've got a whole lot of new things going on the other side. You've got to do both. So how do you balance it? I think you have to balance opportunity with risk continually. And you have to have that conversation with the board and your exec team. So they need to be aware of both sides. If you're just talking to the board as an example on just as showing the opportunities and they're not aware of the risk, that's dangerous. And vice versa. If you just talk about defending what you have and protecting it and not actually looking at how you grow, then that's also that. So you just have to know that you've got to give both equal airtime. Not an easy job, and I've been guilty in the past early in my career of focusing far too much in terms of defending what we had and protecting it as opposed to growth. and actually also being completely the other way around. So trying to find the balance is very, very tricky. But you need to make the right risk-based decisions for your business.
And of course, one of the big areas of risk that I know keeps CIOs up at night is, of course, cybersecurity. And data is just so fundamental to what you and the team look after there at LIC. So what's your approach then when it comes to cybersecurity? And what are you thinking about when it comes to both the privacy and security of all that data that are in your systems?
It's probably a similar answer to that last question. So at its core, I do believe in secure by design. So actually make sure you design your software or your system so that they're secure innately, as opposed to try and put sticky parts in afterwards. I do subscribe to the view by investing properly and by modernizing, you are so much better. So that's always the first principle. Like make sure you actually modernize and keep your systems up to date. I remember the old days having some arguments way back with some on our board about just things like Metafirst in the cloud, because back in the early days it was considered very risky, right? I think it's a risk not to do that, because I think there's far more exposure to having legacy items sitting behind someone's desk being maintained the old way. So a simple answer to your question, I think focus on investment and making sure we modernize and don't leave anything behind. So you always have to keep thinking about what does the world look like in 10 years' time. All those systems are causing pain or keeping me up at night. How can you resolve them? The thing that really keeps me up at night at the moment is back to your AI question. There's the capability of the hackers or the cyber criminals with the new AI capability in terms of being able to attack people. That's what worries me. But at the same time, but by unplugging and just locking everything in a corner is not going to work. You actually have to continue to modernize your business and actually make sure all your data stuff's sitting on modern platforms. And you've got to make a case in my role or any other CIO role, you've got to make a case to your board that by investing, you're actually protecting and growing at the same time.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that, those evolving threats when it comes to AI and how bad actors are using that when it comes to attacks is just frightening. So you mentioned a few partners that you work with at LIC, but in general, what do you look for when you're going out to market, you're selecting providers or partners? What makes a good partnership from your point of view?
It starts with people. Like you don't want to, that's been said time and time again, but you want to deal with people you like. So there has to be kind of a relationship fit. If there's not, it's just not going to work. Most good partnerships are built, probably like marriages in slow ways, on trust, right? Trust and credibility, and that takes a bit of time. So good partners are long-term partners that you've been on a journey together with. There's got to be performance, but the biggest thing I look for is adaptability. So the world is changing, and it's going to change even faster. Our partners can't be stuck in just one way of doing business. They've got to be thinking ahead. They've got to be bringing some thought leadership to the table around how the world could look, and taking us on the journey as well. So I look for innovative partners. That's, New Zealand's a funny landscape as well. I actually think I like partners who think broader than just what's in New Zealand. Because if you limit yourself to your existing customers, the existing customer base, you're missing out on opportunities to ensure. So adaptability, thought leadership, but underlying by performance, they've actually got to make a grade as well.
Now, switching gears a bit, how would you describe your own leadership style?
It's very dangerous. Depends who you ask. Look, I, as I said before, I had changed a lot. So, and I noticed about myself early in my career, I was very conservative. Could I build out spreadsheets and checked everything 1,000 times before I did anything. I had changed a lot. I'm far more opposite. I probably lead far more by gut and by intuition and by relationships now than I ever did before. So my style with my direct reports, I want to make them high performing. So I look at all of my team and say, all of these guys and girls, they should be able to replace me when I eventually leave something like LIC. And so what's it going to take for them to do that? And everybody's different and everyone's different in their leadership journey. So how do I work with each of them to actually make sure that they've got the right skills and balance to make that work? My number one goal for leadership is to always tell my people that what they do is just a job. It is just a job. And they shouldn't worry about their job being the be all and end all. Have a balanced life, trust your intuition, and have a go at stuff. And I think the worst thing people can do is not be themselves and try and design themselves to be this perfect thing that does exist. Be themselves and trust themselves with how balanced life is like. Ultimately, it's going to be the same thing. It always comes down to people. You can have the perfect plan made on a bit of paper. That's excellent, but if you cannot communicate that and sell it, that won't work. So people come first.
Yeah, absolutely. A CIO is only as good as their team. So just broadening that out then, I mean, I've been down to your offices. I've seen, the vibe that's there. It's definitely a very vibrant space to work in. So tell us a bit more about your approach. You mentioned there about growing your leadership team. But what else do you do in terms of getting the best out of the team and making it feel like an environment where they can thrive?
Yeah, the vibe has always been good down there. If we're really honest with ourselves, and we've put a lot of effort in the last couple of years to change that. It all starts with a couple of things. One, people need purposeful work, so they actually need to believe that they're coming up and doing something important, which at LIC we absolutely are, given our mission. The second thing is people want to be part of something. They want to belong. So, I mean, you would have probably got that impression if you walked around that people love the place, and they do. The last 12 months we've done that in many different ways. I'm a food lover, and we're probably over-indexed on food. So we've had donut days and pie days and KFC days. I'm a big Warriors fan, as you've probably seen in the background. Every time the Warriors won last year, I bought KFC to everybody, so that helped. But actually that all comes down to environment, right? We've got a very safe, friendly, happy environment. And actually in the last engagement survey we did, the psychological safety, and for people to speak their minds, was just outstanding. Like people felt they could turn up to anybody and say whatever they felt, and that's what it takes. I think if you want to unlock people, you need to make that happen. And so the environment has been great. It's been led by food. We do things like on a Friday, like just this morning we had I call it buzz meetings. Every Friday morning we have just an informal team catch up for 15 minutes. And obviously we give a bit of kudos out to people, and we call out great performance, but we also just have fun. Look, it probably reflects my personality. Like I'm quite laid back, like to have a laugh. We're doing serious work, but you don't have to be serious. This also echoes with my senior leadership colleagues as well. So we've had a lot of fun in the last couple of years, and I was talking to David, our CEO. We had a KFC pie bake-off between myself and the CEO a few months ago. It was a subject of such great conversation, right? And it just eases the tension, and you can have fun with your mates as well. It's actually doing good work.
Yeah, absolutely, injecting the fun into it. So another part of making a successful team is, of course, diversity. And IT has, suffered in the past from being seen as, a very male-dominated space, and it is improving. But what do you think can be done to attract more people from different backgrounds to consider IT as a career? What kind of practical things can be done to encourage, minds of all kinds to get into the industry?
It's something that's near and dear to my heart, Kathy. So, I think there's a gender imbalance, and having two young daughters who've been through school and uni, it starts at school, right? Because unfortunately, girls in tech classes along with boys doesn't always work, because let's just face it, teenage boys aren't necessarily the best people, and when they're in those classes, and the types of boys who take some of those tech classes really put girls off. So we really have to try and sort that out somehow. And I know my girls, while they did tech and coding and they've done well, it was an uphill battle from an early age. So for the education sector needs to try to figure out how we do that. The part that's really close to my heart, though, is the diversity in terms of the people entering the system. So I do think our representation problem with Māori and Pacifica was really, really poor. I think the stat was about 4%, and that's just not good enough. And I see a massive problem coming for New Zealand when we have lots of high-paid tech workers, and then a whole lot of other people who are going to be finding it very challenging with the likes of automation and AI. And unless we do something about that, we're in some big trouble. We're going to have a big inequality problem than we do today. If you look at, so I'm personally vested in the space, so I do run a charitable trust that actually tries to look at helping Māori Pacific get more into technology. A lot of that comes back to family and whānau and Wendy Young. because a lot of people don't understand that tech careers are even possible. So it is actually for us as tech leaders to get out and actually promote what is possible. I'm doing to gaming. I'm a gamer. I love gaming. So we run gaming club events on Fridays and Saturdays in South Auckland and West Auckland. And we get groups of kids together to play games. And then during the gaming sessions, we start teaching them tech. And then they start getting a passion for it. During those same times, we actually talk to the parents as well, because never occurred to me, but the parents don't actually understand that tech careers are possibility or even exist. So actually us getting in there and influencing those parents is going to be really helpful. So look, how we do that at scale, that's the challenge. I think as all New Zealanders, we probably have a responsibility for education sector to make sure that there's awareness of tech careers. And actually everyone here, and everyone who probably be listening to this podcast is a potential role model. And it's one of those things is if you can find someone who looks like you doing something, you have some self-belief. And I think we just need to do a bit more of that. So start from a diversity point of view, from a Māori Pacifica perspective. See and create some passion in there. Kathy, probably talk too much on that talk.
And as you say, spreading the awareness as well with the wider family and the parents and the people who are influential in people's lives as well is a great inroad. So just broadening it out then, what do you think are some of the other challenges facing CIOs in New Zealand at the moment, and in particular, anything for CIOs in your sector?
I couldn't honestly talk about CIOs in my sector because I don't think I actually have a sector. As I said before, I bounce around industries quite a bit. So look, I would think if I was to sum up agriculture, I think the agri-tech area has probably suffered from a lack of investment or the lack of need to be competitive technology in terms of the back office solutions. We've always been great at cutting edge when it comes to things like wearable technology and on-farm technology, but the back-end data part, we haven't been great at that. So I think that's changing. If I'm thinking more broadly or in a general lens, I think the CIO landscape here would probably suffer from being boxed into a technical role. So for most businesses, the tech roles are seen as a back office support as opposed to at the front working with the business trying to help what the future customer proposition looks like. And I do think here's also another space where we're schizophrenic. If you look at the SaaS startup world that we have in New Zealand, I think we've got some amazing people. There's some great product leadership and some great thoughts about coming. But then you've got the corporate CIO roles, which tend to be a little bit more back office, so the infrastructure and back-end finance systems, etc. I think those two need to come together a little bit more. So some of the CIOs that we have in those roles should be providing thought leadership to those organizations around where they could actually go. So if you're a technical person in a CIO, I think start to think more about customer and more about customer proposition, and we will become so much more powerful.
Yeah, it's definitely evolving, that CIO role, more so into that advisory, helping enable the business with strategy rather than being an order taker. So what are your hopes then for the next generation of CIOs coming through? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I actually think the CIO has probably become the most important voice around the exec table. If you think about all the different senior exec roles, they all need technology. And not everybody in those roles are going to be technology experts. So you need to become the coach or the guide and do it in a way where you value relationships and coaching as opposed to, holding your portfolio. So I think as we progress down the track, you're going to see the next generation come through to that senior management roles. They'll be more tech aligned than they are at the moment. They'll probably be more familiar with some of the solutions that are out there at the moment. And I think the technology role with its CIO and CTO needs to help them with some leadership there, but also needs to find a good balance between trying some stuff and actually preserving and security, which is no different to what it is now. But I think the biggest change in that role is going to be coming out of the shell and actually, being in the front line of the exec team and actually partnering.
And then finally, Daya, what's important to you in the months ahead? Are there any other exciting initiatives in the pipeline?
So LIC, we're doing so at the moment, I'm shaping a lot of work around what our future could look like with my team. So senior management at LIC have a good view on some of the the challenges and opportunities facing us, taking our board through what that looks like and prioritising, and then actually messaging that down to the team. If I'm getting involved, that's going to be able to come a few months. We're doing lots of exciting stuff. We've got lots of commitment and investment for lots of exciting stuff. I think we're going to do a lot more. Just shaping that and making sure that we do it in the right way and bring everybody on that journey is important to me. So one of the highlights for me is going to be our sales conference. This is the LIC General Sales Conference next month. Actually, next month is July, it's this month. It's a great opportunity to get in front of all of our sales team up and down the country and actually get them excited about the tools that we can provide to them. So they can feel passionate and go back and sell that to our customers. So not something you'd normally say that's in the job description, but it's critically important, right? If you do that and you get in front of your sales team, you get your sales team excited, and they get excited for their customers, then they're going to back you. And they'll be very much in the tent with whatever journey we've got. So look, setting the vision long term, getting the buy-in, getting the investment, getting all those people across LIC on the bus, especially the tech team. That's what my mission is in the next 2-3 months.
And I'm sure there'll be a few more KFC and pie days to come.
It's all tied to the Warriors performance, which hasn't been quite good this year, but we'll see how they go in the next.
We'll hope that they bring it home at the weekend. Daya Sivakumar, Chief Information Officer at LIC. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Kathy. Doing great.